as to how this derailment occurred. I have here some hot dogs and hamburgers that I plan on cooking on the grill, but firefighters say there are several things that you need to do before you ever fire up your grill. As police officers searched a car that was located right here next to the curb. They were looking for hazardous materials, but they didn't find any. Alan and Monica, this is some of the diesel that was produced at the Dakota Prairie refinery over the weekend. First responders have been here since 7 o'clock this morning when they first got the call that 6 cars went off the tracks and then caught fire. Now, the only Boy Scout troop for the city of Mandan has had a 60-year-long relationship with St. Joseph's Catholic Church. But because of Monday's announcement, they can no longer hold their meetings here. On a typical day, you'd be able to look out from this point and see the Tesoro refinery over in Mandan. And even looking out, you can barely just make out the letters that say Mandan in the hill. And that's because all this haze is still sticking around the region. And it's actually causing some health problems for those of us living in the capital city. Health department says it's also important to check out your furry friends for ticks and even to talk to your veterinarian about flea and tick prevention. Alan and Monica, I was just told by firefighters that all of the fires are out and BNSF is currently using foam to put out any hot spots on any of the tanker cars that were on fire earlier today. Now, first responders have been here since 7 o'clock this morning when they first got the call that 6 cars went off the tracks and then caught fire. We spoke with some residents today who say that they've seen stories about crude oil derailments happening across the country, but they never thought it would happen here.
I thought it was a tornado the way it looked because it was just going swirling. Arden
Jorgensen lives right by the railroad tracks in Heimdall. He and his wife Linda were evacuated after a 109-car train derailed. BNSF says 6 caught fire.
That you have to evacuate right now. And I asked him, what about my dog? He said, oh, he'll be okay. So hope he's doing fine.
The type of car that was involved in today's derailment were actually the CPC 1232s. These cars are the supposedly safer version of the DOT 111 cars. Those are the ones involved in the Castleton derailment. Now, last Friday, the federal government did release some new rules for oil train cars, and it would phase out the ones that were derailed in today's accident.
I understand that they are all the newer 1232 cars, and it appears that none of them blew up, exploded. They are not jacketed, so it'll be interesting to compare, how that went in comparison to an older car.
Firefighters and first responders got a bit of help from Mother Nature. Today's rain helped this derailment from becoming a catastrophe.
We would not have this rain. There's grass, right up to the tracks. We'd probably be having fire departments fight grass fires along with what they're doing now.
Responders are going to be here throughout the night, and as of right now, residents are still not allowed to return to their homes. Kevin, nothing looks out of the ordinary right now, but just a few hours ago, traffic was stopped here on 7th Street and also on Main as police officers searched a car that was located right here next to the curb. They were looking for hazardous materials, but they didn't find any. After a traffic stop, officers say they recognized the driver of the car for having outstanding warrants, but more importantly, they noticed the possible ingredients for a makeshift explosive device. So the Bismarck bomb squad came in, tore the car apart. There were various items that were strewn along the sidewalk that I'm now standing on, and we have some video of those items. There were things like a folding table, several boxes, construction equipment, various different types of tools, but again, no hazardous material. Because of that, 7th Street was reopened right around 4 o'clock. Traffic is moving pretty well now. Police also tell us that Paul Furman was a driver, a 45-year-old man from right here in Bismarck. He was arrested for warrants in Burleigh and Morton counties, as well as possession of fireworks. He has been taken to the Burleigh County Detention Center. Kevin, back to you. The state's drilling rig count peaked at 218 in May of 2012. Today, that number has dropped to 137. But that doesn't mean the boom is over yet. Rig traffic has slowed down in the Bakken, and that is translated into fewer jobs for roughnecks.
Yeah, it's real slow. Everybody's laying folks off. I mean, my brother's sitting in the hotel right now and don't got a job. He came up here and got laid off. Now he's about to go back home.
But roughnecks only make up about 25% of the workforce in North Dakota's oil fields. Other sectors of the energy industry that support and service existing wells continues to be strong.
At this point, we are not cutting anybody. We're still, like I said, we're still looking for 100 additional people.
Hiring now, billboards and signs can still be seen everywhere in oil country.
We're looking to build. We're looking to add drivers, mechanics.
Terry Moe of Nuvera Environmental Solutions says skilled workers and heavy equipment operators are still being hired and are in high demand.
The growth that was happening had to end sooner or later.
Keith has worked in the Bakken hauling water since 2010.
I don't think it's doom and gloom. I think here the last 3 years, everything has been way over, like too much, and now it's getting back to like the other oil fields in Texas or Oklahoma, where things, you know, just kind of steady out.
Since oil's dropped from over $100 a barrel to under $50, there hasn't been a mass exodus from the Bakken. And Economic Development Manager Gene Veter says he doesn't expect there to be one.
We still got a lot of oil to move out of here, and that takes a huge workforce to do that. Still a lot of construction going on, that takes a huge workforce to do that.
Veter says oil is no different than other North Dakota commodities like livestock or grain. Those markets also fluctuate, and Veter expects the Bakken oil play to last 20 or 30 years. So he and other industry players are not doing long-range planning around a 6, 8, or 10-month. Now, every year, the American Farm Bureau Federation predicts the amount of money it would cost to feed 10 people on Thanksgiving. Now, the cost for this year went up 37 cents from last year for a total of $49.41. I have the list. Now, let's head inside to see if we can meet that price. Now, lucky for us, a lot of these items are already on sale, like sweet potatoes for just $1.88. Next up, we need some stuffing. Let's go with the classic stuff. And we also need some rolls. We'll have to grab some butter later, but also on sale. Next on the list, sweet peas. There's a lot of things to get on the canned fruits and veggies aisle. First item on that list is cranberry sauce, my personal favorite. We're gonna go with the whole cranberry and the jelly kind. Something for everyone. Next up, we have to get some carrots and celery. Now, after all that turkey, you're probably going to need a bit of a pick-me-up, so one of the beverages on the list is coffee. So I'm going to go with my favorite brand, Dunkin' Donuts. And onto the dairy section for the other beverage on the list, milk, along with whipped cream and butter. Next up, no meal would be complete without some pumpkin pie. These serve about 5 people apiece, so we'll just need 2. Last but not least, no Thanksgiving feast would be complete without a turkey. We got ourselves a 16-pounder here that's also on sale. Now that we have everything on our list, it's time to head to the checkout to see if we can make it to that $49.41 mark. At the till, the items rang up right around the survey price, but there were a few exceptions.
Definitely your coffee. Your coffee was 10.
So the shopping trip didn't go exactly as planned. We came about $10 over the goal, probably because I picked too expensive a turkey, and of course I splurged on the Dunkin' Donuts coffee. But all is good. I've got a pumpkin pie, and I'm going to go enjoy it for lunch. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Investigation of former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's email has raised questions of internet security for government figures. Evening, Bismarck police blocked off downtown traffic for 3 hours this afternoon. During a traffic stop near 7th Street and Main Avenue, a police officer noticed materials in a car that could have been used to make an explosive device. Bismarck police say a woman has reported finding a razor blade attached to the handle of her shopping cart at the South Walmart on Friday night. Jared Fogle, the former pitchman for Subway sandwiches, is expected to plead guilty tomorrow to child pornography charges. But on Capitol Hill, Republicans still tried to get legislation off the ground that would take Planned Parenthood off the budget. Today, investigators began combing through the rubble looking for clues and answers for why yesterday's fiery derailment occurred. Every summer, Medora attracts thousands of tourists, and many come for the beloved musical. Well, Henry, another cool day. It doesn't feel like we'll need fans or air conditioners for that matter.